Americans, man.
Welcome to our episode of Bargain Saturdays, and this week I decided to take a look at Sticks and Stones, a 2008 TV film from Canada that's meant to be based on a true story, though I suppose they use the words inspired by a true story, since it talks about the friendship games between the U.S. and Canada in 2004 that was trying to help patch up relationships over differences of opinions on the 2003 Iraq invasion. So this film's definitely is hard to discuss without talking about some of the politics of the time because we have commentary, from Canadians on how stupid Americans are and how they're willing to blow up basically anybody in the film. And we also have, sections where we get to watch Canadians burning, American flags, booing the American national anthem, which has been going on somewhat recently, hasn't it? But for different reasons than obviously the 2003 Iraq invasion. No, that's from Trump constantly saying he wants to make Canada the 51st state. I can't blame them for being pissed off about that. At any rate, we probably shouldn't fear too much politics while talking about a film, but yeah, suffice to say, tensions were high, and this leads to some rather bad behavior towards a pee-wee hockey team from the U.S. in the film. I don't know how true that was to real life events, because like I said, this is inspired by a true story, so it definitely plays very fast and loose with what actually happened. At any rate, after they play their first game in the tournament and have refs calling making really bad calls on them, like that scene in Remember the Titans when the refs are trying to basically rig a game in one team's favor, and the one coach has to basically threaten him to call the game fair, or he's going to go to the papers even if he has to go down with them. Yeah, we don't get that dramatic kind of scene. We just get to watch the American team eventually just leave because they're like, this is bullshit. We're not putting up with it. We're just going home because everyone's giving us crap for no reason. Like we're just kids, a kids hockey team. We have no control, over what George W. Bush is doing. Like it's beyond us. Way above our pay grade. So yeah, they leave. One of the players on the Canadian team they did play in the tournament in their first game tries to apologize for the bullshit, but suffice to say, they're like, it was a terrible call, kid. We know we were there, but can't really do much to really help things because he's a 12-year-old. But apparently, with all the family drama going on between his parents fighting, because one wants to stay where they are for his career, and the other one, his mom, wants to move somewhere else for her own career because she wants to become a principal. Leads to lots of issues at home and kids lashing out. But he decides like we have to try and make things right with that team from Brockton, Massachusetts. So he's like, we gotta invite them to a friendship game or tournament. Like we gotta get them back here so we can make things right. Because we can't make these kids, forever hate Canada and think we suck because we're a bunch of doorknobs. So go out of their way, to try and get them to come back. They're like, well, we'll pay for you guys to come play and stuff like that. But eventually, after jumping through all kinds of hoops, he gets the government to agree to help pay for it and stuff like that. And eventually, we get the friendship games, 3 months after the Pee Wee tournament at the start of the film. So, yes, it's a very feel good movie with family drama and stuff like that going on as well. To keep the audience's interest. Though some would argue the film's rather predictable, but it's definitely a feel good story, Though the actual friendship game, took place in 2004 and was organized by like a pair of hockey dads. So it's I don't think it was as dramatic as they made it in this film, but yeah, it's based or inspired by true events. But yeah, I think it's a fine film, but definitely doesn't feel like a sports movie despite, the cover. Because while hockey happens, it's not really important to, the overall story. Like this isn't a movie about, one team beating another. It's about, people finding camaraderie through hockey, which is definitely different. But, friendship games, what'd you expect? Well, till next time then. See ya.